Have you ever wondered why so many men who are otherwise healthy, fit, and even young struggle in the bedroom? I hear it all the time in my clinic. They sit across from me, embarrassed and frustrated, saying things like, "Doctor, I don't understand. I'm fine by myself, but when I'm with my partner, I can't perform." And let me tell you, these stories are far more common than most people realize. What's even more shocking is that in many cases, the cause isn't age, it isn't low testosterone, and it isn't stress alone. The real culprit is something men do in private almost every day. Habits they believe are harmless, but that silently train the brain and body to fail when it matters most. These habits condition the nervous system for premature ejaculation, performance, anxiety, and even erectile dysfunction. I've seen it happen to men in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and beyond. And the hardest part is that no one ever taught them the right way. They don't realize that masturbation isn't just a release, it's actually training. Training that can either build stamina and confidence or sabotage it completely. The good news: you can retrain your body. Today, I'm going to walk you through the 3 most damaging mistakes I see in my patients, the science behind why they wreak havoc, and the practical steps you can take starting tonight to reverse the damage. And I promise, once you understand these hidden traps, you'll never look at your habits the same way again. I've seen this mistake over and over again in my clinic, and it breaks my heart because most men don't even realize they're doing it. They rush. They treat masturbation like a sprint, just a quick release before work, before bed, or in a stolen moment of privacy. At first, it feels harmless. But what I've learned both from research and from my patients is that this habit silently trains the brain for premature ejaculation. And the men who come to me are often shocked when I explain why. The science is clear. Your brain is a learning machine. Through a process called neuroplasticity, it reinforces the patterns you repeat. If you always finish in 2 or 3 minutes, your brain wires itself to believe that's what sex is supposed to be. So when you want to last longer with a partner, your body betrays you. It reverts to the training you've given it. That's how a harmless private habit becomes a devastating problem in the bedroom. And then comes the worst part: anxiety. Men tell me, "Doctor, I was so worried about finishing too soon, I lost my erection entirely." This isn't weakness, it's biology. Studies show performance anxiety is one of the biggest psychological triggers for erectile dysfunction. So now, the cycle is set. Rushing leads to premature ejaculation. Premature ejaculation leads to anxiety, and anxiety kills erections. But here's the solution I teach my patients: slow down. Train for control, not speed. It's like turning a 100-yard dash into a marathon. I encourage them to practice the start-stop method, build arousal pause right before climax, let it settle, then start again. Over time, this reprograms the brain, proving that they are in control, not their reflexes. And when that control returns, so does confidence. But let me warn you, fixing this habit alone isn't enough. Because even if you slow down and regain control, there's another silent trap that can completely sabotage your sex life. And most men are addicted to it without even knowing. I can't tell you how many men sit across from me, frustrated, confused, and even ashamed, whispering, "Doctor, why can't I get aroused with my partner anymore?" And when I dig a little deeper, the pattern is almost always the same. They rely on pornography. At first, it feels like a harmless escape, quick, exciting, always available at the tap of a screen. But the truth is, porn acts like junk food for your sexual brain. It's designed to be hyper-stimulating, endless novelty, bigger and louder than anything real life can offer. Here's what the science shows: every time you watch porn, your brain's dopamine system floods with pleasure signals. Dopamine is the neurotransmitter of motivation, reward, and desire. But when the stimulation is extreme and repeated, the brain adapts. It desensitizes. Just like someone who drinks energy, drinks every day, and then feels exhausted without them, your brain starts to need more and more visual novelty to feel the same level of arousal. And suddenly, your loving real-life partner, the person you're deeply attracted to, doesn't feel enough anymore. I've seen this condition so often, it has its own name, porn-induced erectile dysfunction. Men in their 20s and 30s, otherwise healthy, struggling to perform in bed because their brains have been conditioned to crave the unrealistic high-voltage stimulation of a screen. Imagine comparing a home-cooked steak dinner to a greasy, fast food combo. The junk food gives you a cheap rush, but it never truly satisfies, and over time, it damages your health. The good news is your brain can heal. I guide my patients through what I call a digital detox. It's not easy at first. Your brain will crave the quick hit. But by cutting down on porn and instead using imagination memory or even erotic audio or literature, you retrain your arousal to respond to real life again. Within weeks to months, many men notice their sensitivity and natural desire return. They rediscover what it feels like to be fully present with a partner without the filter of a screen. And here's the part most men don't expect. Once they break free from porn reliance, they don't just get their erections back, they feel emotionally connected again. They tell me, "Doctor, for the first time in years, I actually felt my partner's touch, and it was enough." That's not just biology, that's intimacy reborn, but there's still one more silent trap I need to warn you about. Even if you've slowed down and broken free from porn, there's a hidden habit in the way many men touch themselves that conditions the body to fail in real sex. And unless you fix it all, your progress can vanish in an instant. One of the most heartbreaking patterns I see in my office is when a man says, "Doctor, I can get hard by myself, but the moment I'm with my partner, it just doesn't work." When I ask him how he usually masturbates, the answer is almost always the same. Same hand, same grip, same speed, same position every single time. Some men even press themselves into the mattress face down for extra pressure. What they don't realize is that this routine is quietly training their body to respond only to one very specific kind of stimulation. Here's what the science shows. The penis is loaded with sensitive nerve endings, and over time, the brain maps what kind of touch equals pleasure. If the only signal it ever receives is an intense, tight grip that becomes the standard, like setting the volume at level 10 every time. So when you switch to real intimacy, which might feel like an 8 out of 10, the brain thinks this isn't enough. That's why some men lose their erection mid-sex or feel numb during intercourse. It's not that their partner isn't attractive. It's that their nervous system has been conditioned to crave a very specific and unrealistic pattern. I often compare it to music. If you blast your ears with heavy metal at full volume every single day, your brain won't even notice the soft beauty of an acoustic guitar anymore. The music is still there, it's your sensitivity that's gone. And that's exactly what happens when men fall into what's known as the death grip. So what's the solution? I guide my patients to become explorers again. Break the monotony. If you always use your right hand switch to your left, use a water-based lubricant to reduce friction, and teach your nerves to enjoy gentler touch. Change positions. Sit, stand, lie on your back instead of face down. The goal isn't novelty for its own sake. It's retraining your body to recognize and respond to a full spectrum of sensations. The more variety you introduce, the more adaptable and sensitive you become with a real partner. And let me tell you, the results are powerful. Men who once thought they were broken discover that their sensitivity returns, their erections last longer, and for the first time in years, sex feels exciting instead of stressful. They stop worrying about losing it and start focusing on connection. That's the real victory. But before you think you've got it all figured out, let me share one last bonus tip, something almost no one practices. Yet, it can make the difference between anxiety and confidence every single time you step into the bedroom. There's one last piece of advice I give my patients that almost always makes them raise an eyebrow. I tell them practice with condoms when you're alone, and immediately they laugh or they look at me like, "Doctor, why would I ever do that?" But here's the reality. So many men quietly admit that the moment they put on a condom, their arousal drops, they feel less sensation, they get distracted, fumbling with the wrapper, or they start worrying about losing their erection. That anxiety alone can ruin an intimate moment. From a clinical perspective, it makes perfect sense. Anything unfamiliar can trigger stress in the body. If you only use condoms in high-pressure situations when your partner is waiting, the lights are on, and you're already nervous, your brain links that thin layer of latex with performance anxiety. And once that link is established, the condom becomes the scapegoat. You convince yourself, "I just can't perform with one on." But here's the breakthrough. You can retrain your brain to see condoms as normal, comfortable, even effortless. I encourage my patients to experiment during solo practice. Try different brands, different sizes, different textures, ultra thin, ribbed, lubricated, until you find the one that feels best. When you get used to the sensation in a no-pressure setting, something powerful happens. The condom stops being a problem and starts being just another part of your routine. By the time you're with a partner, it feels familiar, not foreign, and the results are remarkable. Men who once dreaded that little foil packet now tell me, "Doctor, I barely even notice it anymore." That shift doesn't just protect their health, it restores their confidence, because when the condom is no longer the enemy, the focus goes back where it belongs: pleasure, connection, and peace of mind. But here's the part you don't want to miss, because everything we've talked about so far, from slowing down to breaking free of porn to escaping the death grip and mastering condoms, comes together in one final truth. And it's this truth that can completely transform your sex life if you take it seriously. So let's bring everything together. We've talked about how the smallest habits can shape your performance, whether it's rushing, relying on porn, falling into monotony, or even ignoring the role of condoms. The truth is, your sexual health isn't just about confidence in the bedroom. It's deeply connected to the long-term health of your prostate and urinary system. Protecting these areas now means protecting your vitality, your independence, and your quality of life for years to come. I want you to remember this: you are not alone, and so many men silently struggle with these challenges, but with the right awareness and small daily changes, you can turn things around. Your body is capable of healing, adapting, and thriving if you give it the right training and care. If you found value in this video, please hit the like button. It helps more men find this important information. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the latest science-backed tips on prostate and urinary health. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Which of these habits do you recognize in yourself, and which solution are you going to try first? Remember, every step you take, no matter how small, is an investment in your future health and confidence. Start today, and your body will thank you tomorrow.